Hello. In today's video, I'm going to show how I use a bark rubbing from a tree to use as a background for my nature journal. So in a previous video, I gave you a look inside my nature journal. And this is a journal of found objects and different nature things that I incorporate in. Either I make some drawings, or I include stickers, or just little pieces of cutout pictures to put in my journal. And so there are all sorts of things that you might find outdoors, from mushrooms to different animals to flowers. But I also made a page, and this is the one I'd like to show you, is using these bark rubbings as the background. And so ultimately I took those bark rubbings, which is what I'm going to show you today, and then I just made some sketches of the trees that those bark rubbings came from. So this is the end result of that process. But making the bark rubbings is just as simple as it sounds, and perhaps you've done this in childhood. It gives a nice addition to a journal, particularly a nature journal, but any art journal. You get very interesting results. So let me show you how I do it. Now I wanted to document the texture and the pattern of the bark from some trees in my yard. So I just took a piece of paper and a colored pencil. This was actually the core of a colored pencil. You can buy them in sticks. This was just a kid set, a Crayola set. But these are little square pieces, little bars, and they're just the core of a colored pencil. And I find them very useful. This way I can hold the paper up to the tree and just rub gently. And when I rub on the paper with the colored pencil, I get the imprint of whatever is touching the paper. So the little nooks and crannies don't show up. That's the negative image, but I get that pattern anyway. So this was a really fun technique. From here, I decided I'd try some other trees. So I started with a palm tree, and then I went to an oak tree. And I just went around finding different textures. You could do this with stone, you could do this with anything. So I found the stucco on the side of the house was kind of interesting too. So I took my paper and my colored pencil and I rubbed that way as well. It's just an interesting background for your book. Now for my nature journal, I decided I'd sketch right over that pattern because it is colored pencil. So I sketched over it with additional pencils and some marker just to make the actual tree or an image of the actual tree. And I found this very useful. Now this technique is not new. This was something I used to do as a kid growing up. We used to rub on gravestones, so it was kind of interesting to get the text to show up on paper, the inverse of the text. So it was really a fun technique, and I incorporated it into my work as well. As a kid, I used to have a toy with fashion plates, and the fashion plates were various plates where you stick them on a box, and you could rub with a colored pencil to get the image beneath it. And so it was like a coloring book that you make and you tailor the image by using the rubbing. So it was always a fun toy of mine. Do you do rubbings? Have you done them and used them in your journals? What techniques do you like to use? Please comment below. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe. Thanks for joining me today.